Our timeline says that we're going to do public comment first and then have Nina talk about the Drachman properties. Would anybody mind if we have Nina talk first and share some of the options and the ideas? And then that way you'll know if your comments are going to be, just repeating things she said. You can just say ditto or whatever if there are a lot of people. Is that all right? Is anybody against that? If anybody's against that, we won't do that. Okay. Do you mind doing that, Nina? Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you about the Drachman properties. What I want to do tonight is provide you an overview of the actions the board has taken regarding the Drachman properties and that the college has taken regarding the Drachman properties, and then give you a little status of where we are now and some potential options of what we could do next. Before I do that, I would like to note that since this meeting was called 2 days ago, a large number of people at the college have worked diligently to pull data, provide timelines, investigate board actions, look up real estate records, provide photos, etc. And I want to thank these individuals publicly for helping me to pull all this information together. So I'd like to thank Benny Sanchez, Brandy Delina, Mike Baker, Michael Smith from our facility team, Michelle Neuenhuis, Bobby Lane, and Sophia Coda from our police department. Of course, my administrative colleagues, Dave B. and Jeff Sylvan, and my admin assistant, Ana Rodriguez, who has kept the office running these last 2 days while I've been busy. So let's get going. Here's an aerial view of the downtown campus. Anything shaded is property the college owns. There's the sort of light white shading and then the blue shading. The blue shading are what we call the Drachman properties. Now, I wanted to show you this aerial view because over the years, the college has grown and has purposely bought properties that surround the campus. We have expanded our footprint in an effort to have land in case we have potential expansion, which we have seen over the years at this campus. About every decade, we have an opportunity to buy different little parcels that are right up next to the campus. This is better for the campus in case we need to expand, but also I believe it is safer for the campus to have direct control over the properties that are directly abutting our campus. I do see a mistake, and that is mine. There's a Chevron station we do not own on the corner of Drachman and Stone. We do not own that. Okay, so I want to give you that overview. These are where, the blue is where the 4 Drachman properties are that we are discussing tonight. Okay, so you might want to note we did buy some other properties about that same time period where automotive is and the Catholic Social Services. We bought those as well. So the 4 properties I've got listed for you when we bought these 4 Drachman properties and how much we paid for them. So about $5.4 million spent acquiring those properties. Okay, a little bit of a timeline on board actions. In 2018-19 are when we purchased the properties. I will not list these all, but there were numerous study sessions and board meetings where different proposals for what to do with the Drachman properties were brought forth the board for consideration. Notably, in 2021, the BOG approved the college, this is the 3rd one, June 9th, to proceed with the planning of a potential project, of a potential development. They only approved the planning. There was no project actually approved. What was approved was to develop a plan. That plan should have been somewhere between $8 and $14 million. Okay, so no project approved, just the concept of creating a project. So the college set about doing that. A lot of things happened between 21 and 23. So in April 24th, at the BOG study session, we presented some proposals, 4 different proposals at that time. And any proposal that included restoring the Frontier Inn, Copper Cactus, and only the north part of the Tucson Inn exceeded $35 million. And I point that out because the target the board asked us to look at was between 8 and 14 million. Now, a lot of things happened in that time. Right in 2021, we were just coming out of COVID and the pandemic, and costs for construction certainly escalated more than anyone could have predicted. All of our projects at the college are cost more than we ever thought just 5 years ago. So, again, more study sessions, and then in September of 2023, the board directed the college to create an advisory committee made up of a number of external and internal constituents to identify potential uses, but importantly, to identify funding sources to develop that property that would not cost the college money, that would not be on, yes.
You stated that it was 35 million. I recall in a board meeting that it was 45 million was the projected amount. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Nonetheless, more than 8 to 14. All right. Okay, so our committee met after the board directed the college to create this committee and work with the committee. The committee met for 6 months and ultimately proposed to the board the concept of a land lease option. We attempted to find a developer who was interested in a public-private partnership to develop that land via a land lease option. We had one developer respond to the RFQ. We moved forward with the RFP, and 2 nights ago, we presented to the board the developer's vision, and the board decided not to proceed further with the RFP process. So here we are today, and I want to talk to you about what's next. So what do we do next? I want to share with you some challenges that we all face trying to manage the downtown campus. The downtown campus sits in Ward 3 of the city, 6 wards. Yet we have something about Ward 3 has about 23% of the crime. The campus crime statistics mirror and match our surrounding area in terms of the increase that the campus has seen. In 2023, we had 53 arrests on campus. Almost none of them had to do with students. This year, we've already had 54 arrests on campus. We will exceed last year. We will hit a 10-year high, I am told. And the crime on our campus is indeed exasperated by having boarded up, fenced up buildings on our properties. So the properties themselves, these pictures were taken in the last month by our police officer, our campus liaison, just some things that have happened on the properties. You can see the fence is breached. In one case, people break in for all kinds of reasons. Most people are trying to find somewhere to stay warm. I'll tell you one of the tours that we arranged for the Drachma Property Work Group that we formed. We provided them a tour of the properties. And before the tour, I went with facilities and the police to, kind of open up some doors. We wanted to show everybody the lobby and one unit. So when I went with the facility people, we opened up one unit, we took the plywood off the door, and I walked in, and I'm like, nope, we're not showing them this one. It was full of someone's belongings strewn across the room. Someone trying to stay warm. I know that about 6 months ago, we had somebody continually breaking in and trying to steal metal, like for money to recycle metal. And the police had to do a little investigation, and they caught the guy red-handed coming out with like a handful of metal he intended to sell. We get graffiti on the properties. I have a picture of some graffiti that was on, I don't know, that's either the Frontier or the Copper Cactus. And that happened this month. About 1 month ago, we also had a little grass fire in the Tucson, and somebody managed to crawl under the fence. There was some drug paraphernalia, I don't know, something went wrong. We had a little fire, and you can see it right there. Thankfully, it was just a grass fire. There's a lot of cost to the college to maintain these properties. Putting a dollar figure on it is hard. I did get data from, it's not hard. I have a dollar figure for you. I got data from facilities and the police about the number of times that the properties have been breached and about how much that costs each time. It takes a couple of hours for 2 police officers to go in and clear the properties, and that costs some amount of money in police time, an hourly wage. And then we also have facilities come and put the plywood back up, re-secure the building, fix the fence. We also have all those weeds in there that we try to stay on top of so that fires don't happen. That costs some amount of money. I can document those things only to about $30,000 a year. What I will tell you the real cost is the time and the distraction. Our campus liaison, every morning, she's an officer, right? Every morning, whatever officer is assigned to our campus, they do a sweep. Every officer does. They look around the campus before anyone gets there, make sure that there's nothing damaged overnight, nobody's hiding out somewhere. Well, it's easy to scan buildings and walk around a campus. It's hard to drive by these buildings. You have to drive very slowly and look very carefully at that fence to see if it's been breached. It's very hard to identify a little cut in the fence and notice that something has happened overnight. So that takes an immense amount of time. If it's been broken into, now remember we assign 1 officer to a campus. I have 1 officer at downtown campus. If that's been broken into, that officer does not go in alone. They don't go in until somebody else comes so that there's 2 people in there, which means an officer is leaving another campus to come to downtown campus to secure that area. So now another campus has no officer present, and the officers on my campus are over here trying to clear this area. So that's the kind of challenge. It's a lack of other work being done. Similarly with facility staff, right? So facility staff is over there boarding up the windows, fixing the fence, which means they're not changing the air filters. They're not fixing the leak in the bathroom toilet. They're doing this instead. All right, so I think I've given you an idea of what it's like on a campus to manage these properties. We also have a liability risk if somebody were to go in there and get hurt. That's a liability risk. And many of our neighbors have spoken to me, and they do not like looking at boarded up buildings across the street from their housing developments. So that's the name. So what can you do? I tell you that so that you have an idea of what it's like maintaining, should we decide to leave the properties in the current state until some future development and funding is identified. That's an option we have. You could vote to remove the buildings and add some landscaping. That's probably the lowest cost option at this point, other than leaving them as they are. We could attempt to find the funding to renovate and pull up some of our old plants. That would cost somewhere around $40 million. We could landscape, demo something, and consider finding funding in the future for some other college uses. We have discussed moving the police headquarters to the downtown campus for numerous reasons, the safety reasons I talked about, and also because downtown campus would just be a more convenient location than at M&S. We also could consider moving some of our district office, our administrative. I know we have a chancellor and a provost who would like to be on a campus. We could build an executive administrative suite, 10,000 square feet for about $11 million. All of district office trying to replicate all of district office is really quite costly there, but that's something later on down the line to talk about. So with that are some options for you. Of course, you may have your own, and I have facility people here to help answer questions about what would this be or what would that be. So, questions?
So is the proposal to maybe pick one of these or to add?
You know, these are options for the board to consider and help figure out what you believe is in the best interest of the college.
So
These are up to you.
I think the proposals on the bottom, number 4, we wouldn't be able to vote on one of those today because
Right.
we haven't done the study yet to know architectural drawings, costs, anything like that. So today, I mean, all we really, I think all we should do today is either option 2 or a combination of option 2 and make a motion to have the college, the chancellor, you know, our facilities folks, make another plan for what we can do in the long term on those properties. Maybe not this year, but, you know, what we're going to do with them in the long term. So
Well-
real quick, just, we're not going to vote right now. We're not going to make motions right now. I asked to rearrange the schedule. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Nina.
I do want to add that option 2 actually has multiple things in it. Demolishing the structures, just doing that is $2 million. That would leave you with a dirt lot that doesn't look so great. If you want to do some landscaping, let me tell you a little bit about these landscaping options. This is 4.5 acres out there. If we did some basic landscaping, it would be about $1 million, 4.5 acres, it's not cheap. But basic landscaping means nothing that would need water. It would be really basic, maybe some desert plants. An enhanced landscaping is more typical college landscaping. If you walk around the downtown campus and you see the plants around campus, the plants that we plant nowadays are low water usage, but yet there is a drip system to them. So if you wanted to make it match the rest of the campus, it would be $2.9 million for all 4 acres. If you wanted to have 1 acre that was really nice, like a park-like setting, 1 acre park-like setting is about $5 million, depending on what we put in there. You know, we could do a pickleball court, we could do benches, we could do something really nice, but that's a little more expensive. That's $5 million. But B and C are 2 different landscaping options for all $4.5 million. Demolishing is $2 million.
Let me see, let me get my train of thought here. My suggestion would be, I think that option number 2 is a good one. I know we're not going to vote right now, but the thing is that we also have to look at the future of what the college may need. And in addition to that, we're going to have new board members coming on board, and I think that they should be given the option to decide the future of the college since they're going to be here for 6 years. So, and that's really all I got to say for now. Are we going to go ahead and have the call to the audience? Okay.
Once again, Nina, thanks for all the work that you and everybody who's helped you out has done. We appreciate the update, and we know you've done a lot of work up to this point too, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so our call to the audience, we have 3 people that have registered online, just so that they're ready: Denise Riley, Luis Vega, and Michaela Hayes. And then in person, Richard Hernandez. Are you comfortable going first, Richard? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My last opportunity to visit with this board. Let me ask you, board members who are on their way out, what will be your legacy? Will it be to hire tuition every year? That's what you did? Will it be to have a grossly amount of high-paid administrators during your term? Will it be the decline in enrollment all your years? What will be your legacy? Why does that apply today? I'm going to suggest to the three of you who are leaving that your legacy should be to reset that compass true north. Taxpayer money, student funds are for education. You should take those eyesores and knock them down. I was telling the new chancellor that when I was a kid in the 70s, we used to go to the Tucson Inn on the top floor. There used to be, was a club. We went to parties all the time, right? And after that, it became a gay bar on Fridays. I'm a gay man. So I can go back all the way back and tell you about the Tucson Inn. But I can also tell you that I've been in this community since the early 60s, and it's an eyesore. It's a threat financially. If somebody homeless gets caught in a fire, gets a leg cut off with some part of the building falling down, there are many people in this community who have asked you to keep it. And I've been very clear, want to remind you again, if they think it's a great idea, you purchase it. Fair value, market value, do what you want with it. But taxpayer money, students' money, goes to education. That's what this Pima College is about. It's about higher education. So let me encourage you, knock it down. Let me know what day it is. I'll be there, and I can tell you all kinds of stories of things that happened in the 70s when I was a young man. It is time to end this. Stop having all this worthless time. Thank you for all your time, but it's time to end this. Make it safe, and you can, the next board could figure out what to do with that property. But knock it down. Absolutely. Knock it down. Make it safe for everyone. Get rid of that eyesore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Denise Riley, are you on the Zoom call? What about Makayla Hayes? Okay, I will look into that. And then Luis Vega wasn't going. Luis, are you online by any chance? Denise Riley. Denise Riley. I can't read what it says right after that.
Person Real, it does look like Denise is here, but she's having a challenge. So let's see if we can try and get her access.
So while she's doing that, I'm going to read, since it doesn't look like Luis is online either, he also sent his comment and he asked me to read it. Good afternoon, members of the Pima Community College Governing Board and Chancellor Nassi. My name is Luis Armando Vega, and I am an employee and a student of this great community college. I want to thank each of you for making this college a better place for the community. In my opinion, I believe that the Drachman properties may be considered for the creation of the Academic Portable for Excellence, APEX, and Pima Plaza Student Success District. Under this plaza is a distinctive project that brings together the college's commitment to academic and research excellence, student support, health and wellness, and the preparation students need to become leaders in the global workplace. This plaza and project shall transform lives through affordable education, a vision into the 21st century and beyond where we are. Pima, a catalyst for personal transformation, economic growth, and cultural prosperity that enriches our diverse community. Within Plaza, it will help with the process of success and include the following buildings to incorporate success: the Jim M. Milkey Indoor Gym, the County Library, an innovative learning center, the Center for Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. So come on one, come all, we are Pima, where we empower every learner every day so they may reach for the stars and achieve their every lifelong goals. We are Pima Community College, an open admissions community college within the diverse setting of Pima County. PCC provides comprehensive and flexible lifelong learning opportunities to promote learner success and to empower every learner every day for every goal. Go Aztecs, bear down, God bless. Kind regards, Coach Lou Vega. Okay, Denise, is she
I have
on?
access now. Can you hear me?
We can now, yes, thank you.
Wow, look at that. Can you see me yet either, or is this I
We can-
can't do the video?
We can see a little picture of you.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out why. I think Michaela was having the same issue too, so I'm guessing that we are. Okay, so sorry. I guess I don't have a face. Oh, do I have a face now? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you, we just see your picture.
Okay, well, we'll keep it at that. So, good evening, Chancellor Nassy and members of the governing board, colleagues and guests. My name is Denise Riley. I'm your current Faculty Senate President and President-elect. I had the privilege of working as the governing board representative during the 2.5 years when this was discussed very publicly. So thank you, Nina, so much for providing the update and kind of overview. It was a great refresher of all the public comments that had come based on the Drockman properties. It was a good refresher of remembering the cost increase and things that had changed so significantly within those 4 or 5 years. And so my background, interestingly enough, I've seen a lot of change. I'm not originally from Tucson, Arizona, so I moved here in 1994. And my first semester of college in Arizona, I went to the downtown campus with my dad. He took me to the testing center so I could take placement tests, and actually the campus at that time was in quite a few bungalows or trailers, we called them at the time. So I took several classes that year at downtown campus, and it was just in the middle of construction. That's all I remember. It was hard to kind of get to, but hey, I still got a great education out of it. And so I'm realizing that's 30 years later, Pima is still a significant part of my life and part of my career trajectory. So I've had the privilege of watching and kind of seeing what's been going on and understanding all sides and all facets of this big decision. And I appreciate the leadership of the college and taking this on and looking at the changes that have really happened over the last several years and why the outcomes might end up being a little bit different than originally intentioned. And I just want to reiterate and underscore that we are a teaching and learning institution, so our focus is on the students and the community. And while I understand the historic value of the properties, and while I understand, and I really understand, I work at downtown campus currently, I really understand what Nina is talking about. I take a walk every day that I'm on campus around the perimeter of the campus, and I've seen firsthand kind of the difficult nature of trying to keep a whole campus safe with limited resources. So I want to say just I appreciate the passion in the community, but we are a teaching and learning institution, and that space and those facilities could really, really, really be used by those at district office to expand certain programs. The only reason I took classes at downtown campus at the time is that I lived on the northwest side of town, and Northwest campus was not built at the time. So all my classes were at downtown and West campus during those 2 years at Pima. So I just wanted to say, I know there's been some desire to restore those buildings, to do different things, but at the forefront of this decision would really be the students and the benefit to the students at downtown campus. And that's all I wanted to mention. And I thank you all for your time, and thank you all for your consideration of thinking of the students and the programming and Pima Community College at the heart of it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And Raul Ramirez is here to speak in person also. Thank you for being here, Mr. Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and distinguished members of the board, Mr. New Chancellor. Recently had an opportunity to meet with you at Pima West, and so I'm here because I have concerns. When they were first talking about the Drockman properties, There was a lot of people here that were representing the preservation field, but I spoke out against that. My sense was that Pima has no business being in the restoration of old buildings. And so in essence, I still stand there, but with a little wrinkle. These properties, as I look at the Central College, it seems to me that there's been a lot of work in that area, and that the Central College, the downtown college, could serve as the administrative hub for Pima College. And those properties may play a role depending on your strategic plan, because to rehab those properties, and I'll tell you a little story. I was involved with a group, Los Descendientes, and we were lobbying for the restoration of the Mayor's College downtown next to the cathedral. And they had a very difficult time finding a developer because it's so expensive to rehab old properties. But this property was special because I believe it's the only two-story adobe in the state. And so there was a tremendous interest. But they did find somebody to do it, and they were lucky, but they had a strategic plan that worked for them. They sold the diocesan office, and then they built next to the cathedral, and now they call it Cathedral Square. So I'm using that as an example to say that it's real difficult to rehab properties. But I think you're better off if you have your strategic plan to deal with this property, and hopefully, and I know that you're also going through different reviews of buildings and colleges, and you have excess capacity. And so one of the recommendations that I made at that meeting at Pima West was to consolidate, because it just doesn't make sense to have a lot of extra space, classroom space. So consolidation would be one. I would see that downtown campus could be part of that consolidation if it fits in within a plan. And but I would say stay away from rehabbing, and the last resource would be to disinvest yourself from that property. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Michaela Hayes, are you online?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Good evening, board members, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues, and guests. I'm Michaela Hayes, and I'm pretty sure we've established last week that we don't know my job. Thanks, Wade. But first, I want to thank Nina Corson for leading the conversation on the Drachman properties this past year. The solution that was brought forward by the committee was really creative, and it had the potential for a really amazing opportunity for both the college and the community. After listening to the proposal we did receive on Monday night, I appreciate the board's decision to not move forward with this process. With limited options that were going to cost the college more money than we had invested, and not see a return on investment for a period of time longer than the college has currently been in existence, this wasn't really a fair offer. Thank you all for protecting the interests of our students and our college. I hope that whatever is decided within this next round will benefit the students and the community, but that it wouldn't benefit one to a disadvantage of the other. I hope the community can partner with the college to come up with a reasonable and actionable suggestion for future use. We have a childcare center on the Desert Vista campus, but that's currently the only campus that has a childcare option available to students. I would love to see if there are any partner organizations that would assist us in building a facility and running a childcare center on a portion of these properties that our students could make use of. Something like Head Start or Bezos Academy could potentially be a win-win for our downtown students. Other options to explore that may not be as much investment on the construction side and would leave an option for future builds could be a community garden or maybe a venue for food trucks to rent space and have outdoor covered seating available. These would be accessible to the community and our students, along with providing a more inviting entrance to PCC. I would ask that whatever we do decide to do as a college, that we don't leave these properties as is for long. As you heard Nina said, they're costing us money, but they aren't currently adding value or maintaining the history as they are, and our students deserve more. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for all of your careful consideration.
Thank you, Michaela.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to add one more thing. Okay, back in the mid-'70s, I attended a class, it was a Spanish class at the Roosevelt Building. And I'm going to tell you that it was before I believe the college acquired it. I think they were leasing it at the time. I was a young student. But anyway, what I want to say is that one of my peers, another student, got raped getting out of that building, the Roosevelt Building. Somebody was parked next to, had a van parked, got her and cut her up. So when I think about, she came back to tell us what had happened about a month later. And so what I want to say is that having those empty buildings there, could lead to a lot of things. And I still remember that. I went home and my husband says, "What happened?" And he said, you act like it happened to you. We were very close. She never got back to school. So I'm going to ask you, please, we need to get rid of them.
Wade, do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion, and then I want to explain my motion. I move that we instruct the administration to remove the buildings identified in the Drachman properties, period. And I never saw the cost of this thing hit me in the face so much. $5.4 million to buy it with no plan to use it, especially no plan to use it for students. In the 2 years I've been on the board, we've done two budgets, and we increased taxes, and we increased tuition, and I can't help but think if we had that 5.4, either our staff would be paid more money or the kids would have lower tuition. So I think it was originally misspent. And then that's not even talking about time and effort of staff to do whatever you have to do to maintain these things. Police, support staff, maintenance staff. And I also think that I made the motion so short because we have a new set of eyes, fresh eyes, just came on board as chancellor. I think instead of us telling how they should spend the money, that they ought to decide as a staff how to spend the money. And I know David B. well enough that he knows what kind of monies are being spent, but also we need to get a handle around, or you do, Chancellor, the undocumented cost of this property, which I would imagine is probably another $1 million or $2 or $2 million a year. So I kept that motion short so that we wouldn't be the ones saying landscape it, put a fence around it, put a picnic table there. That I think needs to come from the new chancellor. So that's all I have to say.
I second.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think we've pursued every avenue that we can pursue in terms of what potential paths for these properties, and it is disappointing that we ended up where we did with this proposal that didn't come to fruition, not because of anyone that was involved, either on the college's side or on the developer side, frankly. I mean, they had certain requirements that they needed in order to make it work for them. They just were a mismatch with our requirements, and it just didn't work out. There was no malicious intent or anything on either side, but I think we've given an honest effort as an institution over these many months to figure out, is there something we can do that wouldn't involve demolishing these properties? And I think we're at a place where that's really the only option left for all the reasons that we've articulated tonight, where, the safety concerns, the ongoing monetary concerns about keeping them up, I don't think we really have any other option, to be quite frank. The only tweak that I would have, and I understand if you don't want to, but I think preserving the signage is important, especially given all the feedback we heard from the individuals that have come to previous meetings. So I'm 100% on board with demolishing the buildings, although I can't vote for a motion that doesn't also instruct to preserve the signage that's in those. So if there's someone's willing to amend it, that's fine. I'm 100% behind it, but I can't vote for just the more simple version without that.
I'll accept that as an amendment.
So I can't remember if it was fall of 2017 or spring of 2018, but I went and spoke before the new chancellor then, Lee Lambert, at All College Day or All Faculty Day, and I said that I was a single mom, the strings of my purse were tight, and when I didn't have a lot of money, I didn't buy my kids new soccer cleats. I remember saying this, and I told everybody that was there, I was shaking, I wasn't used to talking in front of adults, and I said, I think what the college is doing right now, our budget had just been cut by the state, $23 million, and bang, 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 we bought these 3 properties for over $1 million. And I just said, you don't buy a lot of property when money's tight. And I wish they had listened to me back then, because we wouldn't have been dealing with this for the last 2 years. I would like to make another possible amendment to your motion. And Wade, you mentioned this, so I don't think it's going to go against what you believe, but can we ask that the college be open to having, I don't know if they're called people who come and take the tiles off the roof, because some of them are, worth money, and I'm not sure if that's something that the college can do legally, have people come in, what's it called, Wade? Not scavenge, but...
Salvage.
Salvage, thank you, salvage. Anyway, if that's a possibility. If it's not a possibility, we don't need to do it, but...
Well, I would assume that the administration is going to do something like that. Sell what you can and remove the rest of it. I mean, Santa Vera's been doing a restoration on the Mission forever, and I've been told by the guys that are making the adobes, they're going to be making adobes forever. Maybe we can sell the adobes to somebody, or the tiles, or the asbestos, and we give that away for free. So I don't think we need to tell them that, because they're going to want to pinch the pennies too.
Okay, I have another comment. Okay, so Greg, I can understand why you would like to say the signage. Well, so many years back, the city of Tucson donated the signage that we presently have on that strip to Pima College so that we could maintain them. And I wonder, how expensive is that? That is not benefiting the college. It doesn't benefit the students. It looks like a circus. That signage, and even the facade of the Tucson Inn or whatever, I believe that it is the responsibility of the city to take those over and do something with them. If they want to improve the area, why are they dumping that stuff on us? We spent over $100,000 to fix the neon signs that we presently have. I would disagree. We should give it to somebody else, make it open so that they can take them and put them somewhere else. And it's up to the city to do that, not Pima College.
Does anybody remember, we did talk about this within the last 2 years, but I just don't remember, but they were separate conversations about why we do take care of those signs. And I thought that I thought that we were tied into doing it because of something that a prior governing board signed with the city. Does anybody remember any of that?
I don't.
Can we, yes?
Yeah, we could.
I'm concerned because I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was something that we...
Okay, so let me make it a little bit simpler. All those neon signs are there for now. The new board can deal with that. But now what we got to deal with is what he's trying to preserve, which is the Tucson Inn signage that we have. I think that, I don't know how we do it, but we need to knock the buildings down. Let's vote to get that done. And then if somebody wants them, or the city or whatever, give them an option to take them. It shouldn't be us. We should not be spending any additional student money and taxpayer money on signs that don't do us any good.
I mean, I have no problem exploring options for the signage. I just don't want to knock them down because you can't rebuild them after you destroy them. So I'd like to keep those intact in terms of the demolition. And then, yes, we can explore options for what makes sense for that signage into the future. I don't mean to commit the college to it forever. I just don't want it destroyed. And I think we heard from a lot of people a few months ago that they don't want it destroyed either.
Just a point of order, I think there needs to be a second on the friendly amendment.
I think Wade accepted it, yeah. So Wade, will you restate your motion? It's very short, very quick. To remove the buildings and make sure that the signs aren't damaged during the removal of the buildings, period.
I move we instruct the administration to remove the buildings that are identified as Drachman properties and make every effort that they can make to preserve the signage, the neon signs.
Okay. Maria, are you okay? Are you making a second?
I second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Luis, I didn't hear your mic is, that is an aye. Okay, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. And that's it for this business. Thank you all for being here. Meeting adjourned.